Hey everyone, welcome back to Tanner's Books and Beyond and Day 2 of VEDUS. For today's update, I'll start with The Phantom of Menace, just because I don't have a lot to say because I didn't get a chance to read very much of it today. I've read a few more scenes and finished off Act 1 for the play. In the movie terms, it gets us to the end of the escape from Naboo and the escape from the blockade. The only major thing of note in those scenes is that they introduce R2, and he is done interestingly because in his aside monologues he speaks English, but when he's talking to all the other characters he's still speaking droid. He's doing all his beeps and boops. But he's doing them in iambic pentameter, which is really interesting to say the least. As for the short stories, I like today's much better than yesterday's. This one is called The Bucket, and it's by Christie. It's about the stormtrooper who stuns Leia when she is hiding the Death Star plans. For the most part, he is referred to as TK-4601. So I'll just call him TK. Now, TK is really excited to be a stormtrooper, especially because this is his first mission as part of Vader's personal guard, and so he's just raring to go. He's chomping at the bit so that he can fight some rebels and help destroy them and save the day for the Empire. But then, once he meets Leia and he sees how young she is, and also sees how easily she kills off his captain, he realizes that things aren't quite as cut and dry. And that's where things get interesting, not because it's humanizing the stormtroopers, which it is. It's one of those situations in Star Wars where you have to be careful when you're humanizing the enemies, because quite often the enemies are stand-ins for fascism, and they're essentially space Nazis. Now, I'm not saying that you can never humanize the troopers, because you can, and it's actually been done quite successfully on multiple occasions. For example, Finn. He's everyone's favorite new character from the new trilogy, and he started out as a First Order trooper, and obviously he threw off his programming and joined the light side, but that's just the thing with the First Order troopers. They were programmed. So many of them were taken as children and they were indoctrinated and they were brainwashed to only believe First Order propaganda. That's all they knew. So when someone like Finn is able to escape, they're escaping an evil system that they never chose in the first place. And a similar thing can be said about the clone troopers, because they were bred and raised to do battle for the Republic and eventually the Empire, and once again, they never chose to be part of this system. So once they are able to escape it, it is because they're asserting their own free will and they're choosing the side of good because it's finally the first choice they're able to make, essentially. But with the original trilogy stormtroopers, that's where things get muddy, because they weren't bred and they weren't indoctrinated. They were simply recruited. They were just random people across the universe who decided to support the Empire and support its military force instead of joining the rebellion. And a lot of them, they don't know any better, but it's still something they chose. They chose to join the evil regime that was oppressing people all over the galaxy. So when you try and humanize them, it can get kind of iffy, but I think Christie does a really smart thing in this story when she humanizes TK, because she humanizes him, but she doesn't make him sympathetic. She shows us his doubts about what the Empire does and what Vader does, and she has him express sympathy for Leia's situation, but in the end, he does not turn against the Empire. He still believes that he's on the side of good. He still believes that what he's doing when he's killing rebels is right. The only change he makes is that he asks to be taken out of Vader's personal guard, because he would rather be where he can kill the rebels from a distance instead of having to do it up close like he almost had to do with Leia. Essentially, he's saying that he can't handle seeing that the rebels are just as human as the troopers are. And then his last act is to take off his helmet while Leia can see, and she sees that he's almost as young as she is, and she realizes that the troopers are just as human as she is. So the end result is that we know the troopers are bad people because they still want to end the rebellion. They still believe in the evil Empire, but they are still humans underneath the helmets, and they're humans with the same complex emotions and feelings and desires that the rebels have. And yes, all those complexities are poised to help support an oppressive evil empire, but it makes everything just so much more layered and interesting and much more complex than just seeing the stormtroopers as faceless mooks that we almost always do. Like, this is one of the stories that I will be thinking back to whenever I'm thinking about this book and when I'm thinking of stormtroopers in general, so yeah, definitely 5 stars all the way. And that's everything I've got for this update, so I hope you stick around and see me continuously vlog every day until Star Wars, and until next time, I'll see you all later!